The voice of Sherry. Durian Asia.
Hi, this is your host Arlene Tan at The Durian Heat, where we discuss critical issues from Southeast Asia. Today, my colleague Grace and myself are going to talk about why is marijuana a taboo in Malaysia, on the insights and issues surrounding weed in this nation. Malaysia has very harsh laws and punishment against weed users and traffickers. There are very little open and mature discourse regarding this very sensitive topic too. This segment, I'll be speaking to 4 young Malaysians. If Malaysians are really ready for cannabis to be legalized in this country.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Welcome back, this is Grace.
And continue our discussion today on the third segment where we discuss on why is marijuana a taboo in Malaysia. So, the thing about Malaysia is, like what we discussed off air earlier, whenever we legalize something or whenever something is introduced in Malaysia and becomes like a trend, people make it into the Malaysian culture to the extent they commercialize it, they make it into different flavors and different way of consuming it. So there is a fear that if the government break the taboo of discussing marijuana in Malaysia, people will start to think that, hey, I can actually make a marijuana flavored biryani or put marijuana to the next level by selling it in bulk, like how people sell sayur or vegetables in Pasar Malam. But do you agree with that statement? Do you think Malaysia is not ready yet?
I think personally, in my opinion, if you ask me, of course, I would love to see marijuana being legalized in Malaysia, lah. Okay. But it comes down to this, right? The extent of which young people view marijuana to be harmful in Malaysia, it has been, it has drastically decreased. As in, young people know that marijuana is not harmful. And in fact, a statistic which was done by the CDC for the number of deaths in US in 2010, which was causing deaths, basically. The highest was basically deaths caused by tobacco, and then it was followed by alcohol, prescriptive drugs, non-prescriptive drugs, and then marijuana recorded 0, no deaths at all. So as to whether we are ready or not, I think we can only know if we start it, right? So you can never know if you're ready to drive a car until you drive a car, right? You can never know if you're ready for an exam until you sit for an exam.
But then, but just to add on that is why one of the reasons why the government is sort of scared to legalizing this drug is we talked about younger generation. So if you visit college or universities, drug dealers, most of them, they start from there because of the peers, the society they're in. They get all those drugs at a reasonable price and they start selling it. And most of them, they're from Africa. And because of that, there was an issue with the student visa renewal issues and to go on. So the government is aware the younger generation is having their own fun by importing those drugs from outside source or even internally in Malaysia. So I think that's one of the reasons why government is not legalizing marijuana here yet.
I think to legalize it, maybe it's too soon. But I think coming back to what Ridwan was saying earlier, the most important thing right now is to review the laws. To review what is there in terms of criminalizing it.
Right.
Because you can't be treating an addict, a person who is addicted to marijuana in a similar stature to a person who's probably committed a more severe crime. It's just not fair. And referring back to what you just said, the only reason the black market exists is because the government has allowed it to exist in terms of putting all sorts of very strict rules and regulations in there. So I'm not saying the government is wrong. It is absolutely right for them to do it, but in today's day and age, the best thing to do would be to review the regulations that are, existing.
Yeah, I would like to ask Syed about this topic because, you have been through yourself, and you probably know better about how to solve this.
from what I've experienced and from what I've seen, is that criminalization of hashish have a lot of negative impact on society. As much as I was saying that there have been an increase of people taking up marijuana, there are also increase in cases of people getting caught with the police for taking marijuana if they have marijuana in their urine and they post positive for the chemical for the test, then they will go into a lockup for 2 weeks and they need to pay bail for 2,000. So the negative implications of this is that if you go into the lockup for 2 weeks, you're most probably going to get fired from your job. If you are a student, you're going to be rejected from your college or universities only for having traces of hashish or marijuana in your urine. That's all. And if what does it mean is that you have to mix with other real hardcore criminals in the lockup. And next, what will happen is, if you lose your job, if you lose your school, what you're going to do? You're going to go back to the same thing that brought you in there. You're going to do drugs. You're going to go and sell drugs. And this is what's the vicious cycle of criminalization of hashish that has been happening. So it will only increase the usage of drugs, because these people, when they get caught, not everyone can afford the bail.
So the government's fear of, if they legalize it, it becomes a cultural phenomenon among Malaysians. Do you think it's valid, or it's just, they shouldn't worry about it at all?
For me, personally, I think it's unfounded fear. What's wrong with people being happy and smoking up and sleeping easily? I mean, it doesn't bring negative effects. I mean, it's not proven internationally or even locally. So we have seen why this conversation is even happening is because we have more inputs from the internet. Previously, maybe in the 70s, 80s, we don't know about marijuana and THC. Now we're looking at it. Hey, US is legalizing it. They're making money. Amsterdam, they are legalizing it. And you see that there is not much negative impact from the legalization. But from my point of view, the criminalization has a lot of negative impact. It breaks up family, people lose job, the stigma of being a criminal for smoking something. So I think that this the criminal aspects of marijuana should be discussed further.
Yeah, I want to ask you, Ridwan, don't you think that if they legalize marijuana, especially among the younger generation, it will only open the floodgate of, like, say, marijuana businesses across Southeast Asia?
Yes.
Like you will have maybe one uncle selling it in his backyard.
Yes. I do believe that anything is possible. Right. Anything is possible. When that happened. However, trying to look at from the point of view of the government, I will say that one of the reasons why they are sticking to illegalizing it is because, imagine, currently it is illegal. And already we know that there's so many things happening. There's so many people selling it. There's so many people taking it while it is illegal. So the government will say that, imagine, this is when it is illegal. Imagine if it is not illegal. Imagine if it is legalized. Of course, they will think of the worst. So that's one of the reason. Trying to understand how the government look at it. But again, I agree with what Syed and also Marcus said. This type of fear, you will never know until you actually approve of legalizing hashish. So, answering your question, might it open up a lot of other new creative businesses and products? I believe yes, especially with our current trend with the youth these days, and maybe after this a lot of people will start using it, and undeniably there will be people abusing it. So that's why I believe the word is, how can we supervise, how we can monitor this if we actually want to legalize it as recreational use. So that's why I would like to stress, for the time being, if we legalize it as medicational use, that would be more than good enough already.
I see.
I think just to add a little bit more to that, what is needed right now in Malaysia, I think more than ever, is a more localized study on this. Because you see, like, we are basing our answers right now mainly on assumptions and studies which are conducted overseas. So until the government or any government agencies approve for a certain study in this area, and until when we know what the effect is, probably over a certain period of time for a certain number of people, and we can know what the outcome is, only until then will we still be in this limbo about determining whether it should be allowed or will this be a Malaysian culture. We will never know.
Yeah. So long-term study is one thing. What else that we need to do for the long term in order for us to get the facts right?
I agree with some of the points mentioned. Marijuana for medical usage is definitely called for. In any medical drugs, there's always harm. There's always harm. But if it's it's going to benefit, it's going to cure the patient, then it's going to be used. Cancer drugs are all harmful. You lose hair, you vomit. There's a lot of side effects. Yep. But that's a drug. Drug has side effects, and that's why medical marijuana is very called for. And I agree with Marcus that research has to be done in Malaysia because genetically we are all different. We have our genetics predisposition with the Caucasians are very different. So there's these differences and might lead to different results when Malaysians consume marijuana. However, as a recreational drug, in my opinion, I think it is important that the government also look at it in a few ways. One of it is to, again, as what Marcus has mentioned, is to look into the laws that has been put into place. I agree that it should be illegal, but maybe it should be decriminalized. Certain penalties should be reduced, looking at the severity of the impact. However, it should still be illegal because I believe that marijuana is the effect is most profound for developing kids, teenagers, young adolescents. It is most harmful to them because at that time their brain is developing, and marijuana definitely there's a lot of research has been done that shows marijuana affects with brain development of teenagers, and this goes up to the age of 20. However, stats have shown that most users of marijuana are students in colleges, in high school, and this is very, very concerning. And it sends a wrong message. The government will send a wrong message to the community if they legalize marijuana. It can be seen as very, very irresponsible from my point of view.
So we have issues that we shared already because of marijuana, especially among younger generation. But my question here is, will the government allow the public or a few institutional organizations to start research on this in Malaysia?
I think
When and then how? Will they allow even?
I believe yes. Because why? Because quoting what the health minister, Dr. S. Subramaniam, said that this more research would be done.
Right.
It's like commenting on what I proposed in the youth parliament. He himself has assured that this will be looked into. And I believe, currently, locally, there are already some of the research being done. However, this research, is not really surfacing in the mainstream because it's a taboo. So, I believe by sparking this issue, all of these researchers, professors and everything, hopefully they come out and present their papers, because I know, and I think there's a lot more that I don't know out there, that I know that there are already researches being done by universities, by PhD students, so on and so forth, locally in Malaysia. But I believe that when this thing already spark out, these people will come out and share their studies.
Right.
So it's time for the researchers to get out and talk about this.
Yeah, we need those people.
and also just not the researchers alone, because we have a lot of medical institutions in the country, credible medical institutions in Malaysia that carry out their own private researchers. That means this is not just a governmental role. This has to be carried out by the private institutes in Malaysia as well, to see how the effects of marijuana will affect the society as a whole, And like I said, this cannot just be a one-hand clap thing,
Yeah.
Both hands have to clap, and people have to be educated about this as well.
Yep.
So there has to be collaborations amongst probably all organizations that
including civil society.
yeah, exactly. The civil society, government, private institutions, everyone has to come together to actually look and assess the situation when it comes to this subject matter lah. You know.
That's great. Anyway, that's the end of our discussion today. We will continue the next day where we talk about the cost of cannabis. Should we decriminalize or should we legalize marijuana? Thanks for tuning in to Durian ASEAN with me, Arlene Tan, and my co-host, Grace Cho. For more interviews by Durian ASEAN, please tune into our website at durianasian.com. If you're on the go, you can always download our TuneIn app on your mobile. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels at Durian ASEAN and Durian ASEAN TV. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram. We always welcome feedback from our listeners. Stay tuned with the Durian Heat on Tuesday to Thursday, same time at 1 p.m. on GMT Plus 8. Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.